Hello. So we are back, obviously doing more revision because English literature paper 2 is just around the corner, and yeah, it's in my opinion probably the worst paper yet. I mean, with like the sciences and the maths, there were some tough questions, but this one is just gonna be god awful. You need to be able to memorize a bunch of poems, a bunch of quotes, the structure, the context. You need to combine that with English language because you need to analyze an unseen poem, and you need to also memorize a whole novel, the plots, the themes, the ideas, the characters, how they're used as symbols. It's horrible. The biggest exam will do because it's 2 hours and 15. I don't think anyone has any other exams that are bigger than that. So let me go grab my anthology. And what I will literally be doing in today's stream is going through every single poem and talking about how that you can kind of connect them together in a way. There are some that I'm not going to go through in today's stream because I am very confident that they won't appear. For example, I'm relatively sure that I feel like Charge of a Light Brigade isn't going to appear. And I feel like Bayonet Charge isn't going to appear. Those two are my least favourite, but I think they've appeared quite a bit in the past papers before. So the fact that they've appeared this frequently means that they probably won't appear this year. Especially because I'm pretty sure that Bayonet Charge appeared last year as well. So yeah, that's why I'm a tad more reassured about this section. And let me go quickly close my window. I've been watching some videos. From like some teachers, and a lot of them are saying that they think that it's gonna be on history this year. Like the theme that we need to analyze is gonna be on history. That's an interesting one. My teacher personally thinks that it's nature. It's gonna be about the power of nature. So there's quite a lot really. Some people think it's going to be on identity because AQA is kind of promoting, equality, identity, like giving voices to like minorities and stuff. So who knows? Maybe that's the idea. Maybe they're going to make it on identity. But let's just go through all of them anyways. Because at the end of the day, if it's on some really bad poem, at least we can know one or two quotes from it. London is, actually Ozymandias is the first, but come on guys, you all know Ozymandias. It's like the only one that everyone likes. London is a really good one to compare to Ozymandias because both of them discuss power in different ways. Ozymandias talks about how power is a lasting, over time it kind of weakens. The effect of power slowly begins to crumble. So the effect of power is that, it's unlasting. Humans can try their best to control a situation with power, but in actuality, they have no power at all. You could potentially link Ozymandias to tissue. And I know that sounds like a stretch, but it's really not. My English teacher did a full essay on it, and I to be fair, agreed with quite a lot of it. The ideas in tissue is how fragile human power is. And in Ozymandias, it talks about that as well. The whole idea, however, is that tissue kind of antagonizes power by saying how weak it is, by saying that, power really has limits, and it uses, I think, free verse and a lot of enjambment in order to convey that. Meanwhile, with Ozymandias, it's very structured to kind of, I guess, convey that yeah, despite the fact that Ozymandias no longer has power, the power of Ozymandias' kind of influence is still a thing. The fact that, the sculptor, his kind of influence is still a thing. The statue's influence is still a thing because people can go and look at it. So that's kind of that whole deal. Anyways, yeah, London, oh my god, I need to go pray that it's going to be brighter tomorrow because this is awful for streams, really is. So London, I wander through each charted street, near where the charted Thames does flow. That is already a banger line, okay? What we can interpret from this, I wander through each charted street. That is such a good line, okay? You can interpret two things here. Number one, right away, wander, it suggests freedom. The fact that he's, kind of, almost aimlessly walking around here. He has no set objective. It implies that he's free here, which, of course, as we later come to find out, is not true. There is a lack of freedom here, really. Charted, however, suggests that, there is no freedom. As with kind of a whole idea of freedom being, a vast world where you can do whatever you want, here, it's restricted. It's kind of boxed in. It's plotted in. Everything that can be discovered has been discovered. And as a result, juxtaposition is used here. And that is a very good theme throughout this whole poem, the constant use of juxtaposition. Things such as marriage being contrasted with hearse, soldiers crying, these ideas are completely, they can't coexist, which is meant to be the point. The point is that, a lot of these ideas are being corrupted by London and the power. This sense of freedom is being contrasted with a sense of limitation and restriction. Okay. Where's my cloth gone? God damn. I always end up throwing it, somewhere random, and I'll never be able to get it back. And then next, near where the charted Thames. That is such a good line, because obviously the Thames is a river. Rivers are meant to suggest a sense of freedom. It's kind of like the hopeful stream. But here, the Thames has already been charted. It's limited. It's being restricted by the regime. And because of that, juxtaposition is once again used to convey this sense of, well, shit happens. And mark in every face I meet, marks of weakness, marks of war. Okay, so the repetition of marks here, it could suggest in a way, what it means is almost he's looking, just observing people's kind of characteristics, but on a more symbolic level, marks could indicate almost scars, how these people have been permanently affected by the regime, the London regime, I guess. Obviously, London isn't like a dictatorship, but this is a criticism of how London itself, the abuse of power, has led to, the downfall of the, civilians. An interesting thing that I learnt about here is actually this poem is meant to be a lot more about history than first intended. The whole poem's idea, actually, I'm just charging up my computer here, the whole poem's idea is that as time goes on, London has gone from kind of this, very beautiful free area into one of, darkness and stuff like that. And it's meant to almost be criticizing the civilians as well, saying how, things like prostitution and STDs are ruining lives because, that's literally what it does. So it's meant to be also a critique on, the nature of people as well, and how they kind of, I don't know, just kind of the way they behave. Just gonna go message Kieran here. Gonna go talk to him. I don't think Ellis watches these revision streams. I know not many people actually do watch these streams, which again is totally fine, guys. Again, I'm not gonna be sat here going, boo-hoo, nobody's watching my revision stream. I couldn't care less. The only issue is a lot of people that have the opportunity to watch these and then don't are sometimes the same people that literally the day before the exam or a couple of minutes before will be like panicking and stuff. So guys, seriously, if you have the time to watch these, I know that I'm not a teacher, I know I'm not a teacher and stuff, so maybe my streams aren't that helpful to some people, some higher people, but certainly for people who I know, I think these streams can definitely help in a way, because I try to make things as understandable and kind of relatable as possible, in a way. That's the premise, at least, right? I try to make these streams entertaining, but informative as well. Because if I'm just sat here, talking about the poem and stuff, it's no fun. No one wants that. So, let's go on, carry on then. So the next section, so I guess an interesting thing to point out as well is, street meet, floor war, man ban, fear here. It uses a not rhyming couplets. I don't know what the other type of rhyming is, but it uses rhyming here. And it almost in a way kind of adds a bit of rhythm to what would normally be, this is quite a miserable, depressing poem. So he's kind of adding rhythm to it in a way to kind of suggest, maybe there is hope for this town, for this city, sorry. Maybe there is hope for it, this kind of hopeful ideology here, but at the end of the poem, you kind of get this dark idea of like, oh, nothing's gonna work, but, it kind of gives you a little bit of optimism. It's also in a set structured thing here. Structure, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how the poem is laid out. And I think that's good because it's meant to convey the, this kind of controlling of power. Everything is in a set structure. Nothing is able to be free. Free verse is typically used to convey an idea of freedom, prosperity. The fact that it's restricted to this level really does highlight how kind of controlled the people are. Oh, I'm just gonna... Alright, I'm back. So, like I was saying, yeah, the whole rhyming, not rhyming, well, yeah, rhyming, but also just the whole verse here, the fact that it's not in free verse, does also highlight this authoritarian regime. Anyways, the next good thing to talk about is this next paragraph. In every cry of every man, in every infant's cry of fear, in every voice, in every ban, the mind-forged manacles I hear. Jesus Christ, this is a lot to talk about, but the first thing you want to talk about is in every. Repetition is used here. 3 times is this word in every used. What does that highlight? Well, it's meant... Hey, hello. In every... we're doing London, by the way, the first poem on the anthology. I'm only going to go through 1 or 2 today, but I'm going to go into them in kind of big detail, so feel free to join in or anything. But yo, let's go around. So, what's interesting here, the repetition, is it's meant to show kind of the endless kind of suffering. It's not just 1 or 2 people kind of, having a negative experience. Every single person in London is suffering as a consequence of power. Interesting thing to talk about is the fact that man, or I guess, the fact that man is capitalized here. It's not in the anthology, but it should be in the it should be in like the actual text. That's how it was written. The fact that man is capitalized here shows that this isn't just a single man. This is every man crying. At the time, society was a lot more patriarchal. Men were seen to be stronger, more, less emotional, more powerful. The fact then that man is crying here suggests how the extent of power has gone to a point where it's breaking these kind of norms of society. It's making people that are meant to be powerful and strong weak and, innocent. Infants cry of fear. The fact that infants, this kind of, symbol of peace and kind of, kids are meant to use to represent, like, happiness, peace, innocence. The fact that they're then used here to show fear suggests, again, the power is breaking this society. It's destroying it. The next one, how the chimney sweepers cry, every blackening church appalls, and the hapless soldier's sigh runs in blood down palace walls. That's kind of a banger line, but also, it's interesting here. So you have blackening church. Now, churches are meant to be kind of a symbol of peace, The cross is meant to be like, Jesus died for your sins, whatever. They're meant to be used to show purity, peace. The fact then that it's immediately, preceded by blackening, shows how even the churches, these kind of holy and powerful things, are now being destroyed by this society, literally blackening them, which is not only a reference to, he did, bro. The fact that this is not only a reference to, the actual smoke and, like, the soot from, like, the fires, but also black is meant to be kind of, black shows, corruption, evil. Evil is corrupting this kind of pure ideology here. That is a great thing to talk about. In other words, your point right away here is, for London, power is breaking apart this society. It's ruining it. If you want to compare it to Ozymandias, you could talk about how in Ozymandias, power has its limits. If you want to talk about this in comparison to Tissue, in Tissue, power has its limits. In here, power is, so bad, it has so many negative effects, but it seems like it is, limitless. It has no limit. Hapless soldiers sigh. Soldiers, connote violence, war, death. The fact then that soldiers are used here to be sighing almost juxtaposes that. Sighing can be quite calming, peaceful. Again, juxtaposition is used so much in this poem. It's a great thing to talk about. Blood down palace walls is a good one. The idea of blood versus palace. The idea that the poor people are suffering, bleeding, dying, versus a palace, which is, very elegant, extravagant, rich, powerful. It's these two competing ideologies here, the poor and the rich. And, London kind of antagonizes the rich to highlight the suffering of the poor. And finally, but most through midnight streets I hear how the youthful harlot's curse blasts the newborn infant's tear and blights with plagues the marriage hearse. This is meant to be STD reference, oh Jesus guys, prostitution bad. But the bigger idea here is the fact that marriage, this kind of symbol of, a new beginning, peace, is instantly contrasted with hearse, death, the end of something. These two, again, juxtaposition. Literally this whole poem is just juxtaposition. But the big idea here is literally just this. The fact that society is being torn down and broken by the effects of power. The fact that even something as sacred as marriage is being tarnished by London. So there you go, guys. That was London. Power equals bad because it's breaking society. That's it, okay? That's your idea that you want to talk about. That is a poem I would suggest you revise a lot, because let's just think, what can London apply to? It can apply to history, it can apply to power, and its limits. In this sense, it's meant to be limitless. It can even be, it can't be used to talk about nature, I don't think. No, it really can't. Identity? Yes, because Blake is talking about the fact that his identity is this dark and kind of decrepit city. He has no identity at all because the power has taken away any sense of happiness, any sense of pride. He feels immense disdain for London. You know, he feels, you know, terribly about it. He thinks this place is a shithole, which it kind of is, you know, not gonna lie there, but the general idea here, at least, is the fact that, you know, his identity has been tarnished by London. Now, let's do one that I know all of you guys hate, me included, but this is, again, an incredible one. If you can memorize it, you will love it, because it will help you a lot. I'm not going to go through everything here. It's My Last Duchess. There's the big sigh of everyone going, piss off, Joseph. I know that this one is one that everybody hates. I like it, though, because, again, it applies to so much. It could link to Ozymandias if you really wanted to stretch the limits, because Ozymandias is interesting to talk about how, you know, art, the effect of art kind of is able to capture an image in a sense. The idea that nature is being kind of preserved through art, and the same is true with My Last Duchess. But moreover, it links to history, it links to identity, and it links to abuse of power. It's a critique of how upper class society can kind of get away with anything. That's kind of the idea. I see a glue. What the hell? Bro's lost it. So yeah, this is a good one to remember. My Last Duchess. Let's get on with it. So, that's My Last Duchess painted on the wall. Everyone remembers this one. Right away, he's critiquing society by basically saying that men, this patriarchal society, has control of women. It's his possession, in a way. This woman is literally his... I'm gonna have to time that out here. I don't know who that is. Oh, it's Luke. Oh, what, bro? Don't spam, please. it blocks my view of a stream, and then I can't see whether I'm writing. You know. It blocks my view, and then it delays me from actually doing revision. Again, guys, remember, like, you know. Oh, I accidentally timed Luke out. Okay. Oops. Anyways, like I was saying, remember, this is meant to be actual revision, guys. Okay? I know a lot of people do just comment on these random shit. But seriously, guys, these are useful. Because if you can even pick up 1 or 2 bits of information, that's good. Guys, remember, we spent months going through the steps on how to make a pure dry crystal. That was a question in the exam. At least for us it was, okay? We spent ages going through electrolysis. That came up. In fact, yesterday, we covered a lot of exam questions that did come up. We went through metallic bonding. That came up. We spent months going through a bunch of things, and they all came up. So seriously, guys, so far, my prediction for Macbeth was on point. I was literally predicted both of them. I predicted Christmas Carol and how that was going to be talking about, you know, greed and stuff, the rich versus the poor. And so far my prediction on Macbeth was spot on. I literally did a whole essay on Macbeth, and that was exactly what came up. So I know a lot of you guys probably click on these for a couple of seconds, comment some and then leave, but seriously guys, I'm not claiming I'm good, but I'm claiming that if you stick with these and you're able to understand one or two things, you might be able to benefit your grade as a result. For example, honestly, that chemistry exam, I liked it, but one or two scummy math questions that I would have gotten wrong, but a lot of the word stuff I got right because I did it on stream. So, anyways, so my last Duchess, obviously highlights how this Dutch, literally owns the Duchess, because that's how the patriarchal society was at the time. He's instantly establishing this idea and this tone by using this, I'm assuming it's a possessive noun, and also painted on the wall. The idea of painted, it hints towards the idea that, you know, he killed her, you know, blood, painted, but also it suggests how nature, kind of artwork in a way, is being used here to preserve something. The nature of art. Looking as if she were alive, I call. So this is using a rhyming couplets, and this whole idea here is that he is going on such a long talk here about the Duchess that, you know, he doesn't even realise what he's saying is wrong, because it's that kind of inclined for him to say these things. He's talking about literally killing her, and the fact that he despises her for, you know, showing happiness. And as a result of that, he's able to get away with saying a lot of bad stuff. That piece of wonder now, fra Pandulf's hands. So this is a good one. A piece of wonder now. So he's not only saying here that art is more valuable. Oh, hang on, I'm gonna have to. There. So yeah, like I was saying, so the whole idea here is a piece of wonder. The fact that he almost values this piece of art over a person's life. Fra Pandulf's hands, the fact that he sees this artist's hands to be worth more than the artist himself. He knows the artist by name, which means, in a sense here, he is a very kind of, he takes his wealth like very seriously, you know. The fact that he knows all these people, he's almost bragging about this fact. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad. The fact that he's almost interrupting himself here, cutting himself off mid-40 here, suggests how in a way he's almost unsure as to what she did to deserve this. He believes that just because this woman is so, happy and positive, he suspects, the worst thing imaginable. So 'twas all one. Again, she's too happy. She rode round the terrace, and all each would draw from her alike the approving speech. Or blush at least, she thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900-years-old name with anybody's gift. That is a good one, 900-year-old name. The fact he values his title, his honour, his prestige above a person's life, he sees it as much more valuable. The fact that he wants to feel special, he wants the Duchess to, only be nice to him in a way, but she isn't. The fact that she likes simple things, and yet the Dutch is getting really pissed off here, shows how, far the Dutch has gone. No doubt, whenever I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile. This grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. The fact that he literally kills her just for, the fact that he literally kills her just for, barely doing anything here. We'll meet the company below, then, I repeat, the count your masters no munificence is ample warrant that no just pretenses of my fidelity will be disallowed. Though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed, as starting is my object, nay, we'll go together now. Sir, notice Neptune, through taming a seahorse, fought a rarity, which Klaus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. That's a good one. I've just quoted the whole thing there. But two things to note. Number one, the fact that here, he is saying, notice Neptune, through, bore a seahorse, not through. The fact that here, Neptune is taming the sea, or taming a seahorse, suggests this Dutch is trying to control nature, in a way. Not just, physical nature, but he's trying to control a person's nature. He wants to stop this woman from doing other things, from being happy. So that's an important one. If you get asked maybe influence or even the power of a person, he has power over nature, a person's nature. Fought a rarity which Klaus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. This is a cyclical structure. He's again referring to this artist who, right at the beginning of the text, he referred to a different artist. But the fact that he knows all these artists, it comes off as him trying to brag. It comes off as him trying to boast about his power. And as a result, Robert Browning here, he's really just using this poem to critique the rich and the powerful. These people who think they can have control over a person's nature, a person's identity, when in reality, these are things that don't matter. The fact he values a person's name over a person's life, it just shows the extent of power. Also, a really interesting thing to note here is how Robert Browning himself, I think, didn't he move countries or something shortly after making this poem? He actually disdains the whole idea of power so much that he moved countries. So yeah, this poem is a big critique of abuse of power, and it's a big critique of how certain things, don't really matter. So, what is this mapper about? I don't know what that means. So, we'll do exposure, and then we'll do Storm on the Island, and that's where we'll wrap it up from today. Alright. Dude, again, don't, don't, overthink chat. Because remember, this is an actual, like I've been saying for the last 10 minutes, I don't know if you what do you mean, what's this about? I've literally just spent 20 minutes talking about it, bro. Literally the last minute I've been talking about the whole idea. And again, look, I know a lot of people, I was timed out. It doesn't mean you can't watch the stream. I'm not saying it again just for you, bro. You guys need to remember, well, I say you guys, Luke, Bentley, this is my revision too, okay? If you guys don't understand it, no, it's pen. I did this, because I was touching the, see? Smudge. Anyways, like I was saying, this is my revision too. All right, this is my revision. This isn't just a time where I'm gonna be sat doing a just chatting stream. All right, guys, seriously, this is actual revision, and you guys need to remember that this is important for like the future. I know a lot of people aren't probably gonna pick English in GCSEs, but you still need it. A level, sorry, you still need English in order to get a job anywhere. Without that, you're fucked, really. So I'm trying my best to not only help you guys here, but to benefit my own revision. And then by having people just commenting random bullshit and, you know, disrupting my train of thought, it's really not good. I would love to disable chat on these streams, but if people have questions or, you know, actual serious contributions, you know, I'd feel bad for them. So that's why I'm gonna say this once more before, you know, what else happens. Please use these streams well, okay? I'm spending my own time and effort here going through stuff that I already know just to help you guys. And I'm, again, helping myself as well. But a lot of this stuff, you know, I could just sit at home on my desk and revise for an hour and learn way more than spending an hour discussing it on a YouTube stream. And by that, what I mean is use these streams well. If you want to learn the content with me, watch the streams, talk in chat, say helpful things, add a point that I you know, didn't say. Tell me if I missed something. Don't come on these streams, comment random shit for like, you know, 5 minutes, and then click off, come back 5 minutes later, and then get confused because you don't know what I'm on about. You know what I mean? Lad, it's only me here, chill. I don't understand, because that's not true. There will be people, there are people who rewatch these streams. I know that Bobby sometimes watches them back. Kieran sometimes skims through them. So if they end up stumbling into parts of a stream where it's just me, you know, replying to spam messages and stuff, you know, but that's not going to have a very good impression on the stream. It's not going to have a good impression on me, and it's certainly not going to help them with whatever revision they need to do. And people sometimes just click on these for 5 and then click off. If they're a watch, well, so what? The whole point of these streams, is just for people to use either live if they want to ask stuff, or they can rewatch it back. That's my point, dude. But my point is, you don't have to watch these. I'm not sat here, you know, getting all pissed because I don't have any people in chat. Seriously, I sometimes prefer it when there's nobody because I can be more true to myself. What I'm trying to get across is if you are going to watch these, actually just take them seriously. Because again, this is actual real, like, important revision and stuff that I'm going through here. And any time I go over to look at chat, it wastes my time. And if it's some random bullshit spam comment and stuff, it, you know, interrupts my train of thought. And then I'm not able to, you know, get across what I'm wanting to say. So I think I'm going to turn off chat here, and I'll just go check it every 5-10 minutes or something now. Because I doubt we will actually get any people. So I'm just gonna halt, you know, the chat for a little. Because we don't see, yeah, we got like 2 viewers like about 20 minutes ago. So we should be 2 viewers, not 20. So yeah. Let's actually get on with this actual stuff now. But yeah, guys, again, I say it every stream because there's always one person that will come on and comment something random and then click off. I know a lot of people who watch these are people that I know personally, and they just kind of want to comment something random because, you know, they know me. But seriously, guys, this is actual important revision here. The only reason I'm streaming these is because I know there's maybe, even if there's one person that I can help, you know, with this revision, that's all that really matters. And it helps me too, so. Anyways. Exposure is next, and this one is really interesting. You could use this to talk about nature, but also the idea of history. The fact that this poem, the fact that the soldiers here almost flash back to their life before the war is interesting because it suggests that humanity has forgotten them. That humanity doesn't see soldiers as actual people fighting. They see the soldiers as a big, like, almost group that can just win stuff. They don't focus on the individuals of war. And for that reason, Wilfred Owen made this to kind of show this. The fact that war is so, like, horrible. The fact that it's not just people that they fight, but actual nature, their mental health. The fact that, some of them watch their friends dying every day and they can't do anything about it. This one uses a lot of, again, nature ideas, a lot of personification. For example, here there is something. Her melancholy army attacks once more in ranks on shivering ranks of grey. Repetition of ranks shows, the fact that the nature here is almost just like an actual army. Melancholy army, it has a double meaning. It could be about nature and the weather being so miserable and draining, but it also could be an actual reference to the enemy soldiers, who are also drained and distraught by the weather. Like twitching agonies of men among its brambles. That's a good one. Twitching agonies of men. Because this is very dark graphic imagery here. And it really highlights the brutality of war, the effects. Another interesting one to talk about is the fact that they say we only know war lasts. The fact that they have kind of become conditioned now to believe that war never ends. The fact that their lives are now fully centered around this war. And in a sense, they've been forgotten. Sudden successive flights of bullets streak the silence. That's, of course, sibilant, repetition of S. That almost makes it sound like actual bullets, kind of, going through. And we also have flowing flakes that flock, pause, and renew. Here he uses commas to highlight the fact that these snowflakes pause and renew, but also they use F sounds, sudden flickering flakes that flock, flickering flakes that flock. That's a really good one because it's just meant to highlight the fact that nature has almost become embedded into their dialect now. The fact that they're almost referencing nature in such a normal way. It shows how nature is not the only enemy. Well, people are not the only enemy in war. A lot of interesting things here. You have, but nothing happens. The idea that every single 1, 2, 3, 4, at the end of every 4 lines, we get this kind of ambiguous question here, or ambiguous statement here. Nothing happens. What are we doing here? Nothing happens, nothing happens. Is it that we are dying? These they ease the tension. You think that suddenly you're going to get dropped into an actual battle, but that doesn't happen. It keeps this very, downbeat, melancholy tone, because the whole idea of this poem is that, war itself, it's draining, it's fatiguing. The only part of war which is memorable isn't the fights and the epic battles, it's the fact that they sat there cold, freezing to death every night, and they can't do anything about it. So again, this poem is great for talking about history. It's great for talking about nature. And it's also just great for talking about power. Because the fact of the matter is, these powerful, people, these individuals that, control the battle, they don't care about the soldiers at all. All they care about is winning. And as a result, we get this personal, first-hand experience to kind of bring the audience, the readers, into this perspective of the soldier, to highlight the suffering going on. Let me go check here. So I was just checking the time there. It's almost It's almost, oh bloody hell, yeah, we definitely ought to hurry this up. 45 minutes we've been going on for. Probably could have got this done in half an hour if it wasn't for, certain things. But anyways, Storm on the Island. Final one. This is a good poem to talk about, again, power of nature. The limits of power, because the whole idea is that humans really, to begin with, they think that they're going to win against this storm, but in the end, they have to kind of coexist with it. It's also good for talking about history, because it's kind of, that's, the whole idea is this is a reference to the conflict in Ireland. So we are prepared, we build our houses squat. Already, it's first person. It connects the reader and the speaker, and it gives a sense of community, that the storm is not something just affecting one person, it's affecting a lot of people. And again, the storm is a metaphor for, conflict, it's not an actual storm, really, it's conflict, power. This wizened earth has never troubled us. You could talk about their wizened, or wizened, I guess. That connotes the fact that this storm, or the earth, it's rather innocent, It doesn't really, it's peaceful. A complete contrast to the storm, really. It personifies the earth, actually. It makes it seem like very, very old in a sense. Very, personal. When it blows full blast, you know what I mean. Two things here. Blows full blast. Blast is, I guess, war imagery in a way. It kind of reflects, shotgun shells or whatever. But also, he says, you know what I mean. He interrupts himself here. To almost suggest that this is common knowledge. The fact that these conflicts are almost common knowledge now. People already know what he's on about. Can raise a tragic chorus. I guess you could talk about here how he's likening, screaming in a way to a song, suggesting how it's almost playing on loop, how it doesn't really end. So that you can listen to the thing you fear. The thing you fear. That whole idea that people are so terrified of this storm, and yet they still listen to it. They still make it a part of their daily routine in a way. Which is, again, it's interesting, really. It's an interesting little poem. The very windows spit like a tame cat. You have this idea here that spitting makes it seem very dangerous, but in actuality, it's tame. In a sense that this storm here, this kind of, this conflict, it's not really as dangerous as it seems. It's maybe people just over-exaggerating their fears of it. We have exploding comfortably. This links into the idea of blowing full blast, but also just explosions here. The idea that it's a juxtaposition. Exploding and comfortably. Comfortably suggests almost peace, relaxation. Then we are exploding, destruction, death, chaos. These two ideas, again, it's meant to suggest this is what people think the storm is. It's exploding, it's dangerous. But in reality, it's not too bad. We are bombarded by the empty air. Again, two completely linked ideas here. Bombarded suggests, it never ends. A bit like the tragic chorus. There we go, guys. We're now making links. Bombarded, it never ends. This conflict is going to go on. But in actuality, empty, It's not really a big deal in a sense. I mean, it is a big deal, obviously, but the general idea is that it's something that people seem to worry about when actually, they shouldn't. Because the last line here, it is a huge nothing that we fear, suggests how, these people now live alongside nature's attacks. They're no longer scared by them. They're no longer frightened by them. I'm going to put that one up here. Huge nothing. Again, the last couple of lines here. Exploding comfortably. Bombarded empty. Huge nothing. These are juxtapositions, contrasts. A huge, nothing. Two completely different ideas. It's meant to show people's perspective of the storm versus what it actually is. There you go. And it's a cyclical structure, because right at the beginning we say we are prepared, they're getting ready for the storm, and at the end, they're kind of living among it. It's returning to the same idea, but now things have changed. And there we go. That's all I'm going to do today. Actually, I'm not going to do tissue. We'll do checking out me history, because that's a banger. We all love checking out me history. Last year seemed to despise it. Like the year 11s from last year. I was looking on the GCSE subreddit. People seem to hate it. I don't mind it. Bandage up me eye with me on history. Blind me to me on identity. You already have blind, bandage. This idea here that, this person is literally the people who are, I guess, censoring or, whitewashing his history. They are almost impeding him physically as well. They're blinding him, they're bandaging him up. Bandage suggests, help, the fact that they're trying to, if you're hurt, you get a bandage, but the fact that they seem like they're helping, but actually they're only making things worse. Them tell me about 1066 and all that. Them tell me about Dick Whittington and he cuts. Those are two ideas here. 1066 with, this big battle, really shaping British history. And then he instantly contrasts it with a fictional character and a fictional cat, which suggests in a way that his idea of British history, he almost in a way, it all just kind of comes together in a big mush. He doesn't really see the difference between British history and a, fake character, because he was never told about his character. We have this person here who I can't really pronounce the name. Is it? I can't pronounce. I don't want to pronounce the name because I can't pronounce it. But it's the person who fights Napoleon, right? We have this whole thing is in free verse here. There's no structure to it. Contrast that with, well, actually, the whole poem really is in kind of free verse, but it's a bit more structured. This takes a complete break, and it even is written in italics to highlight the fact that this is further a break. He's almost breaking up from the British history, which is structured because he kind of knows about it, and his own history, which is unstructured, chaotic, because he had to learn it himself. Nanny, seafar woman of mountain dream, fire woman, struggle, hopeful streams of freedom, river. These things don't really have connections, punctuation. They just kind of seem like ideas that just kind of appear. Again, highlighting the amount of, effort he has to go through to learn this information. Unlike, British history where it's all structured, he's literally had to just kind of pick random ideas and kind of understand it from there. Firewoman, again, light imagery is used a lot here. Firstly, and that other person, the beacon of the Haitian Revolution, a beacon, light imagery, it's meant to suggest hope, peace. Same here, firewoman. The idea here that these figures who he hasn't even been taught about actually carry more importance to him than anything that the British have taught him about. And again, more kind of ideas here of light imagery. Among the wounded, a yellow sunrise to the dying. Yellow sunrise. So this is quite a somber turn, but it links to light imagery again. This woman here, Mary Seacole, is, literally guiding him through his own history. Right at the end, he says, them tell me what they want to tell me, but now I checking out my own history, I carving out my own identity. He uses a lot of local dialect in this poem, which is meant to reinforce the idea that nothing the British have told him has really stuck with him. Even, English, in a sense. He still feels proud of his roots, his heritage, and because of that, he speaks in this whole poem using his own dialect to really reinforce that. I carving out, the idea of carving being quite a difficult procedure that may take a lot of time, to imply that, this idea of him carving out his history, it's quite a long process. It'll take a lot of time to really be able to uncover it. He's almost angry here. He's saying, they tell me what they want to tell me. He's accusing them of hiding his own history. And the big idea here that I've wrote is whoever controls the past controls the present. The British have controlled the past. I'm pretty sure at one point they controlled a third of the world, which it's just bloody unnecessary. Just stick with your own bloody country, you know what I mean? It goes for like the US and stuff too. Like, it's bloody land at the end of the day. It's not really a big thing. But anyways, the general idea is that, those who have all the power forever. The British, despite, still having a lack, not having, like, their original, like, influence over the world, they're still able to influence people from those parts of the world with, this censored information that makes the British look good and makes them look shit. So there you go. Jesus Christ. That has been a lot. We've gone through 5 poems in an hour. We went through London, which is, again, it's meant to talk about the limitless nature of power, the fact that power can destroy a society. Went through Checking Out Me History, the idea that abuse of power leads to a person's identity being affected. We went through My Last Duchess, which talks about, again, abuse of power, but also identity, how the person writing the poem feels ashamed of their British kind of identity because it's so corrupt and it's so, abuse of, power, abuse of wealth. We went through Exposure, which is a really good one for just generally everything nature themed, even conflict themed, and that's kind of it, really. That is kind of it. I think that at least one of these poems will come up. I'm pretty sure anyways. I think that... and we went through Storm on the Island too. Jesus. That one, it's meant to show that people fear this conflict, but in actuality it's not that bad in a way, People kind of seem to fear the things that they're told are bad, but in actuality that's, it's calm. So anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed. This has been an hour-long stream, so you could maybe use this like the night before, just put it on 2x speed, or watch an actual GCSE teacher and not me, because I'm pretty sure they're able to convey these points way more effective. But hey, if you've understood anything, or you've enjoyed my kind of commentary, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And that's me done. I'm gonna go to bloody bed now. Jeez.